Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. So, inshallah, in this video, we'll be looking at the siege of Jerusalem. And again, this happened during the time of the Crusades. This was for the first time in Islamic history since the time of Umar radiallahu anhu that Jerusalem fell into the hands of non-Muslims. So, this is almost like more than half a century. So, inshallah, let's go through this story, inshallah, and I hope this would be a very interesting story. So, let's start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let me just put this down here. One second. Okay, perfect. So, now before I go and talk about the actual story, let me give you guys a history of what's going on, what was going on before to this whole incident. So the people who were actually ruling were the people, they were Abbasid. This was the Abbasid Empire. However, Abbasid were really not in power, even though the Caliphate, the Khalifa, was from Abbasid. The people who were really in power were the Seljuk, and Seljuk were, the Turkish people. The Turkish people, the Abbasid, they got Turkish slaves, and slowly and gradually, these Turks became military general, and they became powerful. So the people who were really controlling things were the Seljuk. And as you can see here, in the map, even though this shows you the whole Seljuk Empire, but this map was really the map was really not like this before to the Crusade invasion. Um, Now this all things started to change, and our story you could say we can begin that story from the battle of Manzikert. By the way, this was also the whole scenario before to the battle. So you could see these areas were mostly Seljuk, and this area, this part in here, the present day Turkey, this area was not in the Seljuk land before to this battle. So this was into the Byzantine lands. They were controlling this part before to this battle of Manzikert. And here in the Egypt, in this part, the people who were ruling were Fatimids. This was obviously these people mainly Shia people and they were ruling here. And yeah, this was the whole scenario, before to this whole invasion. Now, then Battle of Benzig could happen. In this battle, obviously, the Byzantine were defeated, and the Muslims, the Seljuk, obviously they became victorious. They defeated the emperor, and they if I show you, this was the map before to the battle, and this was the map after the battle. So you could see a major chunk of land here was taken off, from the Byzantine, and it was Muslims won the area. But even after that, you could see the Constantinople, this city, which is modern day Istanbul. It was not in the hands of Muslim. This whole area of modern day Turkey was like Ankara, and this whole area was something Muslims got, but not the Constantinople. It happened obviously sometime later. But yeah, this Battle of Manzikert happened. Muslims won the battle, and that left a really big impression, really big impression upon the Byzantine. And the Byzantine emperor, who was obviously ruling Byzantine at the time, was this guy, Alexios I, and he realized that Byzantine themselves cannot fight the Seljuks, cannot fight the Muslims alone. Obviously, he needed, he needed more power, more strength. And if we look at the history, or if we look at the scenario of Byzantine and the Romans and the other parts of Europe, then they all were divided. Byzantine, after some time, Roman Empire was divided into four parts, and one of the part was Byzantine, and there were other parts in the west, um, and there were other parts in the a bit north as well. And at that time, people were divided, and he saw that it's important to unite people so that they can unite and go against the Muslims and they can fight. So he called upon this guy, Pope Urban II, and this person had, obviously since he was a pope, he had a very religious authority upon people, and people obviously were listening to him. So that emperor went to this guy and he asked for, Christian unity so that they can go against the Muslim and they can fight them. So what happened? Even though Seljuks defeated the Byzantine, so these were mostly Turkish people, and the emperor went to Pope Urban in order to defeat the Seljuk, meaning mostly the Turkish people. Even though that was the proposal, Pope Urban did not agree. to conquer the Turkish land. He did not agree to go and defeat the Seljuks. Rather, he wanted Jerusalem because that was something that they considered as very like religious thing. And because of that, in fact, he went ahead and he started uniting people. He started recruiting people from all over, like Rome and all over the Europe, in order to go and defeat the Muslims and conquer Jerusalem, because that was something that they wanted. It was not the defeat of the Seljuks, right? So obviously he went, he gathered people, and these people obviously are called as the Crusades because, well, these were mainly those people who were obviously not religious, but like these were like murderers and criminals and all of these other people. And they were given this promise that, okay, you go and fight the Muslims, and in return, God would give you the paradise. But in return, all of your sins will be, forgiven. So they went there. They recruited people, and these were like really some. That's the reason for which this is called as crusade is because like they were really, the name crusade came from a cross, like the Christian cross, which was a kind of their part of their like flag or something. But crusade, the reason for this is because like they were really like wild people, like really beast. They went on, killing anybody they want. So they came, they gathered people. They started all the way, like people from all the way from Western Europe, from North Europe, I guess, even, and from Italy, Rome, and even like in the Byzantine Empire. Like they all joined, and they all went to to again, they all went to conquer Jerusalem. In the like while they were coming back, sorry, while they were coming to the east in the Asia Minor, which was the part that Muslims conquered. There were obviously they did a lot of massacre. They killed a lot of people. They had Jews who were living in some parts of Europe, and since Christians did not like Jews at the time, they also massacred like a lot of Jews. And this is one such example of one such massacre that happened, and it's called as you can see, Rhineland massacre. And this was the time when they mass murdered Jews while going to conquer the Muslims. Um, Obviously, they did not like Jews, and that is why they did this. But the very first city that was conquered by or the word like was one first significant city that you can say that was conquered by the Crusades from the Muslim was the siege of Antioch. This was the time, obviously, there was a Muslim ruler at this time, and he asked for help from other Muslim, like somewhere down in Syria and Damascus and other places, Aleppo and Mosul. But at this time, like Muslims were definitely divided. Even like even the Seljuks were ruling this, like it was like the Great Seljuk Empire. But even after that, these people, were divided. They did not like each other, and there were a lot of other kings, other rulers who in fact aided, who in fact helped the crusade to fight against some of their enemies of among Muslims, some of their people whom they did not like in the Muslims. And that is why they helped some of the crusaders to go inside and win some of the cities. So the siege of Antioch, obviously the king wanted to fight against these crusades, and he asked for help, and he did not got help. There was also somebody inside the kingdom of Antioch who in fact who had some personal problems with the king, and then or with the ruler, and he went ahead and he gave an open area for the crusade to enter, and they went ahead and they entered the city, and they killed almost everybody. They it was like obviously a massacre. They killed like a lot of Muslims, and it was a whole mess. And this thing, this the capture of this city, the siege of Antioch, left a obviously very big impression upon the Muslims. So obviously, Muslims, were feared after that, and after that, slowly and gradually they went ahead and they conquered other cities. They in fact conquered some of the cities or some of the like places which were previously helping the Crusades to conquer other cities. So these places, these kings of such cities, they helped the Crusades to conquer other cities. But then after once the Crusades conquered those cities, the Crusades conquered the ones that helped them previously. Another example, another significant thing that happened during the Crusade time was, I mean, you could see here the siege of Marra. This was not like a very significant, but what was so special about this is that during this time, the Crusades went on doing cannibalism. Cannibalism is basically like humans eating humans. So at this time, like obviously, like the Crusaders thought that okay, this city is going to be like rich, and they thought that okay, it's going to have a lot of food and supplies, but it didn't turn out that way. And the soldiers, and the knights, they needed to continue their march to Jerusalem, but they did not have food and to continue that. So they just went on eating cat, like they just went on doing cannibalism, and they were feeding on the dead bodies of Muslims. That was something that happened. So after that, as you can see here on the map, Crusades, they went ahead and they four Crusade kingdoms were formed. You could see Kingdom of Jerusalem, Tripoli, Antioch, and Edessa. These four kingdoms were formed. And obviously, like just like Muslims, slowly and gradually the Crusades obviously got divided. They went ahead and established some European feudal system in which there were rich people and other were just like um, just like what do you say? Just like slaves, peasants, and then they also had like obviously they were like obviously the people whom they conquered were Arabs, so Arab were the slaves or they were living under them under the Crusades, and this was also one of the entry points for a lot of Muslim Islamic knowledge, a lot of Arabian knowledge to enter into the European world. Because at this time, that's how some of the Europeans got the knowledge from the Muslims. Um, on the other hand, Italy, which was on the other side of the Mediterranean Sea, um, obviously got a lot of rich because of a lot of trading that was going on with the Crusade the Crusade states. So people from Italy and all from people from Europe used to come here, migrate sometime, or sometime maybe just for visit and stuff. But they were benefiting a lot from this. Now, obviously, things has to turn back. These like this part of land they only conquered like this such a small part of land, and obviously this was not a good thing for Muslims, so Muslims had to fight back. So one of the first counterattack that Muslims gave was during this time of Imad ad-Din Zengi. He was the ruler of Mosul, and he went ahead and he fought, and he like combined like almost the part of Syria. So he combined Mosul, Aleppo, and Hama, like these areas, and he became the ruler of them. And he united people. And he went ahead and he fought the Crusades against them, and he went on and conquered the country or county of Edessa, which was like the weakest state of the Crusades. So he conquered that. So you could see here later he became the ruler of Edessa. Um, and this was the Zengid Empire. You could see like this was what they conquered. Some of the parts here were conquered after Imaduddin, and the person who conquered them uh, was Nuruddin Zengi, and I cannot. Okay, let me show you guys. Nuruddin Zengi. Okay, yep. So the person who did this was Nuruddin Zengi, who was actually the son of Imaduddin. And captured. He got Damascus, so he united the whole like Muslims in Syria. And he was one of the prominent figures who was doing this thing. By the way, when Crusaders invaded, if you guys remember, there were also Fatimids. So when Crusaders invaded, Fatimids started to prepare. But by the time Fatimids prepared and they went to save Jerusalem, the Crusaders already defeated them. So Fatimids were, were also weak. They were defeated. But now coming back to Nuruddin Zengi, during his time, obviously the Crusaders, they wanted to expand, and they went ahead and they did invasion in Egypt, which was under Fatimid Caliphate at the time. And because of that, Fatimids they needed help, so they went ahead and they asked Nuruddin Zengi for help. Nuruddin Zengi, and the person, by the way, who was this guy. He was previously like he was part of I guess he was one of the rulers or maybe somehow related to the ruler in Fatimid, and he was actually overthrown by some of the people, so he was not ruler anymore. But he went ahead and he went ahead to Nuruddin Zengi and he asked for help. Obviously, Muslims were starting to unite, and Nuruddin Zengi he went and he helped him by giving the people. And then they all obviously combined their forces and they went ahead and they fought and they defeated the Crusade. Obviously, not it was not a complete defeat, but the Muslims were able to like withstand that. So this person, Shower, then became, obviously Fatimid Empire, like since Muslims helped him, Nuruddin Zengi, he helped the Shower to become back. He was, I guess, made the Grand Vizier or something, but he got a prominent like place in the Fatimid Caliphate. But then this person, Shower, uh, he betrayed the Zengi, the Nuruddin Zengi. He went ahead and he made some alliance with the Crusades again, and he just like again he did a treachery to Nuruddin Zenki, and then they went ahead and they wanted to defeat Muslims, and so that Shawar could become a bigger king or caliph. Now Crusades, then they betrayed Shawar, so they went ahead and they did another invasion of the Egypt, and Shawar once again he went to Nuruddin Zengi for help, and obviously Nuruddin Zengi helped him. And because of their unity, they were able to defeat Crusades once again. But now, Nuruddin Zengi obviously cannot spare Shawar for his, a betrayal in the past, and that is why he was removed from his power. And the person who got in his place was this person, Shirkuh. Shirkuh, he was the person who was, by the way, his actual name is Asaduddin ibn Sadi. So he became the leader. He was representing obviously the Zengids in the Fatimid Caliphate. And after his time, um, by the way, yeah, after his time, and he was actually the uncle of this person whose name is Salahuddin. And then Salahuddin later on, we all know the story that later on he was one of those like prominent figures who went ahead and who conquered Jerusalem back for the Muslims back. It got back into the hands of Muslims. So inshallah, the story of Salahuddin we can take on some other day. We also have, by the way, we did recorded a podcast, if I can show you, on our Muslim Legacy channel. It's what about this whole thing. It was about the Salahuddin. So and it was into details of what happened and what went on. So please watch Muslim Legacy podcast if you want to get more details on this. You can watch that on our YouTube, obviously. We also have, by the way, our sorry, one sec. We also have our Muslim Legacy Telegram channel, so you can also subscribe to this and for more updates. Links to follow our Muslim Legacy channel would be in our description. Inshallah, you can get that. And we also have Instagram. Please follow us on Instagram as well. So yeah, I think with that we come to the end of the presentation today. I hope you must have liked it. I hope this was an interesting story, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel for more such stories, inshallah ta'ala. And yeah, please keep supporting us. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.